Heavy is the head that wears the crown. We've heard this, and that statement or that phrase takes on many meanings. But let's be honest, there's been a lot of people who have won pageants in the last 15 to 20 years that either end up on hard drugs or end up with prison sentences or they wound up off the right track. Pageants, as they started to take over the broader world, people only care about the prizes and stuff and what it could do for them in the future. But this has little to nothing to do with pageants, despite the fact that the person who did this was a former pageant queen. I'm gonna let y'all listen to this story that I'm gonna read from the Daily Mail, and I linked the Daily Mail at the bottom in case they want to come after me so that they think I'm not saying who wrote it, okay? Or who had written the story. I'm gonna give my commentary once I read it, y'all. Without further ado, here's the story. A former beauty queen who beat her boyfriend's toddler to death inside a college dorm room sobbed in court before learning that she will spend the rest of her life behind bars. On Friday, Trinity Madison Poig, 20, was found guilty of felony murder, aggravated battery, and child cruelty for the January 2024 death of 18-month-old Romeo Jackson Angeles at Georgia Southwestern State University. Poig burst into tears as the judge rattled off her charges at the conclusion of her 3-day trial. While she was found guilty of several charges, she was acquitted of malice murder. The disgraced pageant participant, who had once held the title of Miss Donaldsonville, was then handed a life sentence with the possibility of parole after 30 years in the Americus Georgia courtroom. I don't do a lot of speaking when I'm passing down the sentence. I've heard the case and I've considered the tragedy, the judge said as a distressed Poig stared blankly. The bottom line is you're going to receive a sentence of life in prison. Poig, who attended the college at the time, fatally battered the child while his father, Juan Williams, left to go pick up a pizza. When Williams returned, Romeo was found with fatal blunt force trauma wounds, including various brain bleeds, a skull fracture that hemorrhaged, and a laceration on his liver. Romeo was rushed to the hospital, vomiting and barely conscious, before he tragically passed away. Poig was an 18-year-old freshman when she murdered the child of her then-boyfriend Williams out of jealousy. During her trial, prosecutors said that she resented, in quotation marks, the little boy because she wanted her own child with Williams. While attempting to clear her name in court, Poig's attorney argued that the baby could have suffered those fatal injuries by falling off a 40-inch bed. That's an overreach. Poig has denied committing the heinous crime since the baby died, but police said she caused serious disfigurement to the liver and rendered his brain useless. An indictment obtained by Court TV said. The convicted killer had been out on bond before her sentencing, which outraged Williams, who told WALB it felt like a slap in the face. And the baby's mother, Shayla Angeles Garnicia, has been in agony ever since she learned that he died. His life was taken at such an early age, and it's just been hard since everything started, Angeles Garnicia previously told the Daily Mail. During closing statements, prosecutors said that when Williams left to pick up the pizza, his son was a healthy little boy. Romeo was in a literal death countdown, Prosecutor Lewis Lamb told jurors, referring to the moments leading up to his father leaving the room. It wasn't a question anymore as to whether or not he might live. It wasn't a question anymore as to whether he could be saved. Wasn't a question anymore as to whether he would be able to grow up. Here's my unpopular opinion. If you are a parent, please understand that I'm not trying to disrespect you. What is the lesson that can be taken from this story? And look, I know there's different races involved here. I would tell you unequivocally, please do not make this racial. I'm making this in general about the safety and well-being of your children. This man left a room to go get pizza and came back to, well, again, let me set the stage because kind of messed it up. He left a healthy child in a room with a woman who was not the mother, whom he was not married to. Okay. He came back to an unresponsive child with liver issues, with brain bleed. You don't get brain bleed just falling off a bed and liver issues. Those injuries don't make sense in tandem. That defense attorney should have known that wasn't going to fly. This case is baffling to me because he was comfortable enough to leave the baby with him. Now listen to me, I'm not blaming him because what she did was atrocious. He took care of his son right away and immediately, by all accounts, seemed to have cut this woman off. She snapped way too fast after that man went and got pizza. Which indicates to me, unbeknownst to him, that she resented that child for a while. Maybe he cried when his dad left and that's all it took for her to snap. Maybe him just sitting there is all it took for her to snap. Either way it go, I believe, me personally, that she was showing subtle signs that she resents that little boy and the father missed him. Because see, here's the thing, when people don't like your children and they're not their own children, they're not always going to verbally communicate that. You're not always going to get backhanded comments. Pay close attention to their body language when they are around your child. Because there's only so long before they can hide their true intentions. She snapped that fast because she wanted that child out of the picture, but didn't understand the consequences of what she had done. Well, yes, she did. Let me quit lying. I took that back. So don't take my clip out of context. She didn't understand. I'm going to say that she didn't understand the extent to which she ruined the biological mother and the father's life. When you date someone and you have one or multiple kids, understand that those people's jealousy for your children may not manifest in words because you had an argument. Some people can suppress it while still secretly thinking about what they would do. My theory is that she thought for a long time that her life would be better with the father if that child was out of the picture. And whatever happened in that room between the time he went to get that pizza to the time he returned to his unresponsive baby, all of that rage that had built in this woman was taken out on an innocent life. This baby did not see this coming. Because at 18 months old, you're rarely going to catch the signs that somebody sees you as a burden. Y'all got to be careful who you marry and who you lie with. I believe the prosecution, this woman wanted this man to herself and wanted a child with him. And let's bring up the fairy tales thing. What you need to understand when you are a man dating certain women, they will pretend to tolerate your children while having a fairy tale view of what you're going to have in the future. It seemed like this woman's expectation was that this child needed to get out of the picture. I'm silent because this one is one of the more baffling cases to me. How a man can go get a lunch or dinner for them and come back to his child being unresponsive. Oh, he fell off the bed and punctured his liver and his had brain bleeds and sustainable injuries. What do we look like? You were the only one in that room with that child. Understand that when you have children and you enter a new relationship, it's not stepmom or stepdaddy season for everybody. It's not even boyfriend girlfriend season for everybody. Some people will envy your children, but they tolerate them as a side piece just to get what they need out of you. She didn't want this baby around, and her actions showed that anger or whatever was building in her, that monster came out and this baby paid for it. But as offensive as this is, my prayers to the mother and to the father, actual mother and the father of this baby. No matter how innocent she looked, no matter how much of a role model she thinks she was wearing that tiara for a short amount of time, this woman had a monster inside of her. And that monster was probably showing signs for a long time that father missed because she was so manipulative and calculating that it was too late when he got back in that room. Be careful who you decide to let in your life. Because when you're not careful, tragedies like this happen. And some people want motherhood so bad they don't mind taking out the former children while establishing their own with the man who already had his own, if that makes sense. This story is just messed up. I'm just going to end it here. It's just not much else I can say. God bless you all, and try to have a good day.